Okay, so today the challenge was to create a calculator, and rather than go with the traditional calculator, I went with a interest calculator. So like interest return on investments calculator over time, and um, yeah, I thought it'd be a little bit more interesting because I don't want to reinvent the calculator. It seems like a lot of people have already done that. So yeah, first I was just looking at different types of calculators, and I thought the investment calculator would be the most interesting. So this time the users, I assume, is someone who wants to know how much money they'll have in, let's say, up to 30 years. I think that's a good number. So this here was a good example that I was looking at, accrual of interest over, in this case, 10 years, but it is a little bit clunky. So I thought, okay, well, I want to have something that isn't super clunky, just has like a simple interface, but something that also is still useful. Being able to add multiple investments, things like that, and again, I think I'm realizing that users are just really important here. So now I'm just planning this workflow. So you want to fill in your investments, your initial money, your return per year, how much money you contribute additionally, and then adding that investment and being able to add multiple investments, and of course calculating the total, and also being able to modify and things like that. And I have to admit, it was very tricky. I feel like every project, all the daily UI challenges, my challenge actually is, I feel like, has mainly been just trying to create an interface that makes sense, and maybe that's just how I think. My instinct is never to make something really really visually appealing first. Of course, I want to be able to get there. Like, I don't want to ignore it, but I do think that functionality comes first. An interface that makes sense. An interface that's pretty. It may not be useful. So yeah, I really try to focus on the functionality first. I see here I actually missed the. It says 150K twice, and I don't think I even had time to correct that. But okay, so here I have I'm showing here the bar of how investments improve over time. So and I just borrowed the legend from a previous model, and I think they had a good thing going with trying to show how the investments are improving over time. So I thought that was the main thing that people want to see. How much money will I have in 30 years given my total investments if they perform at this level. Okay, so and I thought additionally you probably want to see how each investment performs over time, and I thought it's a little bit overkill or it's very clunky if you wanted to see like the 5, 10, 15 year for every single one. So rather than do that, I added this interface. You probably will be able to see that with the 5, 10, 15 year. But I also later on, the reason I added a caret, I don't know if you can see it yet, but that arrow, I want to be able to perhaps for individual investments click into it and see the performance over time, or like other details. So I think this interface makes sense as far as the requirements. It actually fulfills all of them. Like I don't think I'm like creating the most visually appealing screens, but I think it is getting the job done. So that's also something I'm recognizing, like that. There's always time. Like I think maybe not always, but I think realistically there will be time to create better visuals in a work environment. But if you don't fulfill the basic requirements, then you're really missing the target there. So yeah, and I think there's ways to be objective about your visuals too, right? You're not trying to um, you're not just making art. I think you're trying to like each visual element has a purpose. Like I think adding these blue bars in between the 1 and 2 or 1 and 3. I think that's just to try to visually help distinguish those elements. I added a bar in between the top and the bottom. I don't really know how helpful that is. And I have to say I'm not super proud of the interface here. It is got this like 90s look and colors. I think there's definitely better ways to improve the visuals later. But within my 1 hour, I feel despite the visuals not looking the way I want them to, I still feel pretty good about like that I was able to kind of solve a problem. And here's the last part is showing the investment return over time for an individual investment. And I didn't really have time to fully spec out those interfaces, but yeah, I think that would have been the last of it, and maybe some things like the editing. Okay, so yeah, here's the picture of what I got at the end, these 3 screens. And yeah, the lessons learned today is create your requirements, understand the user requirements, the product requirements, and stick to them first, and then think of some additional requirements later. Like I think something I can start doing is creating user, or I guess usability requirements. So rather than just product requirements, I can start adding in things that are requirements to make it a better interface. So I think I need to do some research on what types of things are helpful. Like maybe I can find a heuristic, but that definitely comes after the basic requirements. So okay, that's number 4. Till next time.